The U.S. president has once again called on Gaddafi to step down immediately. But Barack Obama did not lay out any concrete plans, saying all options are still open. From Washington, Patty Culhane has more.
After more than a week of silence on Libya, U.S. President Barack Obama made it clear how he would like to see the fighting there end.
Colonel Gaddafi needs to step down from power and leave. It's time for Gaddafi to go. He must leave.
But so far the president is more focused on getting the estimated 30,000 Egyptians and other foreign nationals out of Tunisia, where they fled looking for refuge, ordering military and civilian aircraft in to fly them home. As for Libyans, Mr. Obama says he's most concerned the violence now engulfing them will turn into a prolonged stalemate.
There may be situations in which Gaddafi is hunkered down in his compound, but the economy or food distribution systems in Tripoli, for example, start deteriorating. And we're going to have to figure out how do we potentially get food in there. So there are a whole range of options, military and non-military, that we're examining.
The option the U.S. Senate has been pushing is the implementation of a no-fly zone, one influential senator dismissing military objections that it could be a challenge. This as Pentagon officials confirm they believe the Libyan Air Force is engaged in the fight.
It seems to me that we could neutralize very easily a very antiquated air defense system with old airplanes and obviously not very good pilots fairly easily, and then that would help the people who are sacrificing their very lives as we seek.
Another senator says the president should be ready to take it a step further.
I think we should be open to providing them with arms if they need it to succeed in their revolution.
Secretary of State Hillary Clinton testified that they are a long way from making any decision on a no-fly zone. President Barack Obama says he wants the ability to respond rapidly, but gave no indication that he's going to do anything soon. Patty Culhane, Al Jazeera at the White House.
Ali al-Jali is Libya's former ambassador to the U.S. He quit last week, saying he could no longer support a government which attacked its own civilians. He wants restrictions on Libyan airspace as soon as possible.
On the non-fly zone, this is a very important issue because now Gaddafi, he is start to strike in east part and in the middle. And he yesterday and today he strike very important area, which is where the oil supply go to Europe and to the world. And then fly zone, that they will strike the strategic points which paralyze this regime, to allow the Libyan people in the east to march, to rescue their relatives, their families, who are suffering now under a very control of the army of loyal to the Gaddafi.
The International Criminal Court says it is investigating the Libyan leader and his inner circle for possible crimes against humanity. Our correspondent Alan Fisher has been speaking to the chief prosecutor in The Hague.
The Office of the Prosecutor decided to open an investigation into alleged crimes against humanity committed in Libya.
Holding the Gaddafi regime to account, the International Criminal Court is now officially investigating all that has gone on over the past days and weeks. Hundreds have been killed in the uprising against the 40-year rule of Colonel Gaddafi, thousands injured. The chief prosecutor believes crimes against humanity have been committed.
The office will investigate who are the most responsible for the most serious incidents, for the most serious crimes committed in Libya.
This is just another step by the international community to put pressure on Colonel Gaddafi and Libya. The prosecutor believes his investigation can be complete in months, not years. He will then present his evidence to the judges, who'll decide if arrest warrants should be issued. And he sent a warning to the rebel groups. We're watching you too. The United Nations Security Council referred Libya to the ICC. The chief prosecutor believes there is enough evidence to dig deeper. He's highlighted several incidents and allegations of mass killings. The 15th of February in Benghazi, the 16th of February in Misrata, Al-Baida, Derna, Ajdabaya. On the 18th, again in Misrata, and the 20th in Tripoli and Al-Zawaya. Speaking to Al Jazeera, he highlighted what is under investigation.
Crime against humanity is a widespread
attacks against civilian population. So if you have security forces shooting civilians in a square who are doing a demonstration, this could be a crime against humanity.
The prosecutor believes the rapid call to investigate marks a dramatic change, that the world will act quickly when people are being killed, and those behind it will face justice. Alan Fisher, Al Jazeera, the ICC in The Hague.
Government officials from the Netherlands are negotiating with Libyan authorities for the release of 3 Dutch Marines. They were captured on Sunday by pro-Gaddafi forces in the coastal city of Sirte. Dutch officials say the Marines were trying to rescue 2 Europeans who've since managed to be handed over to the Dutch embassy in Tripoli. Libya's embassy in The Hague remains under watch by police while the government negotiates the Marines' freedom. Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez continues to push his mediation plan despite the idea being rejected by Libyan opposition groups and Western governments. A group of protesters added their voice to the dissent. Chanting slogans in support of the Libyan people, they condemned Chavez's proposal to work with Gaddafi, whom they labeled a murderer. The Venezuelan president has forged close ties with Gaddafi. He's accused the United States of exaggerating the uprising. Tens of thousands of people are expected to rally across the Arab world on Friday as they keep up the pressure for reforms. Anti-government protesters in Yemen are not letting up on their demand for President Ali Abdullah Saleh's immediate resignation. Almost daily demonstrations have been taking place for several weeks now. The protesters have rejected a proposal by some opposition groups for Saleh to leave office by the end of this year. Clashes have taken place in Bahrain between Sunnis and Shias. Youths armed with sticks and batons charged at one another on the streets of Hamad. It's the first time the two sides have openly clashed since protests demanding constitutional reforms began 2 weeks ago. And in Oman, thousands of people gathered on Thursday for a large pro-government rally. They gathered outside the palace of the longtime ruler Sultan Qaboos bin Said in northern eastern town of Mana. At the same time, pro-reform groups staged a 6th straight day of protests in the capital, Muscat. Hundreds of Tunisians have celebrated after the interim president announced elections on July 24th. The polls are to elect a council to form a new constitution. But this also means that Fouad Mabaza will stay in power beyond his March 15th deadline. Egypt's interim military rulers have appointed a new prime minister. Essam Sharaf will take over from Ahmed Shafiq after his surprise resignation on Thursday. Sharaf, a former transport minister, has been asked to form a government. More on Libya in a moment, including why this successful entrepreneur is willing to give up his business and life in the U.S. to return to Libya. And the jewel of the ball, Silvio Berlusconi's dancer Ruby wows the crowd at Vienna's annual festival.
Business Latest is brought to you by Capco in just about everything.